Okay, I'm coming closer to the day of my retirement, the big day. In the meantime, I'll discuss some physics and some cosmology and the speed of light. We're going to double check what we're being told about the speed of light. Okay, so this is something we got to understand. We can't just believe and accept whatever they're telling us, whatever line they're giving us. We have to understand what the science is and what the evidence is and what that means. Okay, so of course we hear over and over again the speed of light does not change within a frame of reference, within a given frame of reference. Okay, that's fine. Problem is the rest of the universe is in a different frame of reference. It's not in the same frame of reference where we are. And that's why there's such a thing as gravitational lensing, because speed of light is not traveling at the same speed everywhere in the universe. So we have a lensing effect that magnifies deep space, even sometimes, and enables us to see well beyond what we would normally be able to see because of the lens effect of the dilation of time and distance of the gravitational lensing effect. So what does this mean? It means that, well, they call it a bending of light, but what it really is that light is being slowed down in some places more than another place, as if it was going through a lens. Because when light goes through a glass lens, it slows down more in one place than it does another place, and that's what gives the lens effect. And of course, we could rub it in and talk about the first time they put the Hubble telescope out and they had the wrong lens on and they couldn't see anything hardly. But they were able to rectify it, and it's become a huge success. But that's what it is in a glass medium, as it were, it slows down light, so that's what causes the lens effect. Of course, if in a glass, you can control it with the thickness of the glass and the curve of the glass and everything, and just that the curvature was wrong when they put it up in the Hubble telescope. They were really embarrassed about that, but they fixed it. It's okay. It's all good. Sort of. But they were supposed to have known better. But anyways, mistakes are made, but it's just amazing how they're able to do things as far as the trajectory of the probes and everything, and how they guide them, and how it has to be just right. If it doesn't, it crashes and burns, or it's sent out into outer space and all that stuff. It's all with mathematical equations and different kinds of things. It's really quite impressive and amazing, actually. But when you're talking about the speed of light being constant, it's only constant within a given frame of reference of a given measure of distance and a given rate of time. Now, if you change the rate of time and change the measure of distance, which happens all throughout the universe, you're going to get a different speed of light, obviously. And that's what gravitational lensing is, because it goes through one part, light goes near a black hole, and it's going through a measure of distance that's smaller and a rate of time that is longer. In other words, the second takes longer to pass. So it actually takes longer for light to travel a smaller measure of distance. So that's what's happening. That's why we have gravitational lensing. That's why you can't really put an age on the universe, or even a size on the universe for that matter, because there is no absolute measure of time or distance in the universe. It's all relative to where you are and relative to the amount of gravity there is where you happen to be. That determines what the rate of the passing of time is and what the measure of distance is. Okay, so that means it's a variable speed. In other words, light has a variable speed in the universe. It's not one rate of speed throughout the universe. It goes slow in some places, almost stopping or actually stopping in some places, and it goes faster in other places. And that's what gravitational lensing is. So now when you want to extrapolate the age of the universe that way, it's not going to work, because there is no single rate of the passing of time. So which rate of the passing of time are you going to use to determine the age of the universe when it's all a fabrication to begin with? Barack, man, I remember we had this conversation with Steve McRae and you back in the day on my channel. Yeah, and I was trying to explain to Steve and what's her name, Filomena? No, what was her name? Anyways, I was trying to explain to them that space is not like a flat piece of paper, and they were laughing and making fun of me and everything. But anyways, if it's all a fabrication, then it's not the actual age of the universe, because we don't know when the matter was formed to give us that rate of the passing of time. And so that's what the problem with the time-light problem is. Because light actually arrives instantly, it's just that we see it take time to arrive, because we exist in dilated time and distance. We are not actually seeing things in space exactly where they are because of it, because of the gravitational lensing in many cases. Yeah, but I just wish they understood more about general relativity, and they were even confusing special relativity with general relativity and all that stuff. But yeah, I guess you could say it was classic if you want. That was back in the day anyway. And look at me, I'm from the Amazon, and I understand this stuff. What's their excuse, you know? And they're supposed to be understanding. But anyways, yeah, this since the photons arrive in instantly, and it's taken time for us to see it, then we can't use that as a measure of the age of the universe, because there is no single measure of the rate of time or the measure of distance in the universe. It's all relative to where you are and in the universe, depending on how much gravity there is where you happen to be. And that depends on how much matter was made and when the matter was made. It doesn't depend on anything else. So you can't use the rate of the passing of time as a measure of anything because it's just a fabrication. Anyway, sounds good. I was trying to explain it earlier in a video and they weren't getting it. Carnivorous ape, he had a situation where he got flooded out. He was talking on the phone, but I guess his house got flooded out. He was sleeping in a hammock. So he's trying to get things fixed or straightened up there, wherever it was. He had some kind of a catastrophe there, it looked like. But anyways, yeah, I got at the end of this month, I'm going to be retired, if you didn't hear already. And I'm finally getting the ball rolling where I'm getting the proper paperwork that I need. I'm going to get together. I got to sign it, get it notarized, and then hopefully I'll be retired with no further events, no unforeseen surprises. So we want to have a precursor debate on how Walter Veith, the Seventh-day Adventist, and his quotes of scripture on diet. Okay. Yeah. Remember that it's not so much what goes into the mouth that defiles a man, but it's what comes out of your mouth. In other words, it's what you say and what you think and what you do. And of course, sexual immorality is against the body, which is the temple of God. So we have to keep that in mind as well. No sexual immorality. If you want to have joy, real joy, and peace with God, and a relationship with God. Okay. Yep, I did it. That's for sure. I did it. Ain't nothing I can do now, but it should be all right. Should be okay. And I'll be able to go back out to the Midwest and hopefully do whatever I want to do, all the experiments I want to do and stuff. True, but if combined, what's the benefit? The benefit of what? If combined. The benefit for eating? Yeah, it's not so much what you eat or drink, it's what you say and do and believe, whether or not it's true. See, diet and the good words. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's the whole picture. You don't want to eat garbage food and things like that. And if you have the patience and have the time and have the money, you should be eating good food, which is not always convenient or possible, but whenever it is possible, just try to eat as much vegetables as you can, really. And because that is where you'll get the DNA correction and the balance for all the function, the cell function is from plants, not from animals. Of course, animals will give you an energy boost. It will give you, it's hard to digest, harder for us to digest, but it'll give you, immediate gratification, as it were, But it's better if you got the time, energy, and money to eat vegetables and prepare vegetables, because, of course, there is a wide range of vegetables that we can be eating which do have protein and everything we need in it. And fruit, of course. We got Raw Matt talking about eating fruit, that he only eats fruit and vegetables or whatever. And so he doesn't really, I guess he doesn't really take that many supplements because he gets all his everything he needs from the fruit that he eats. Vegetables are starvation food. Meat digests in the stomach and is easily to digest. Actually, well, it's instant gratification. It's 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 a shortcut to getting the nutrition that you need. But if you ate vegetables, it's better for cell function. It's better for digestion. It's better for everything. But but I can understand, that why you might need to eat meat once in a while. But I don't have an opinion one way or another at this point because it's not always feasible to eat perfectly. But we do it the best we can. Do what we can. And if we can't get what we need, we eat a chicken or a hamburger or something. But Jim's probably cringing. My position I'm holding is Christian vegans are much more inclined to walk daily within the spirit. Yeah, that's it's probably a good idea. It's it's probably better off. And let me see what we've got here. Vegans are much of a cult as creations. Vegans rule, carnies drool. There you go. You got a good discussion going on now. Anyways, it was supposed to be about the varying rates of the speed of light where we happen to be. Because, of course, light, in special relativity, light arrives instantly, but we exist in general relativity, and we don't have the speeds required for special relativity. So we basically exist in a fabrication of dilated time and distance by way of the gravity and mass of the universe all around us, which dilates time and distance and slows the speed of light down to where if we measure it, it takes time. But is that the actual, can we extrapolate and say that's the actual age of the universe? I believe not. Because it is a dilated fabrication of time and distance. It's not the reality. And it's just a fabrication. Time is actual fabrication, the same as distance is a fabrication where we are. And it's the result of the formation of matter. And we can't really extrapolate to say there's billions of light years, things are billions of light years away when light arrives instantly. It's just that in our fabrication of time and distance, it takes time to arrive. But it doesn't mean it's the actual age of the universe, because which rate of the passing of time are you going to go by when the universe has all different rates of the passing of time? And of course they'll say, well, we're just using our rate of the passing of time. Yeah, but that's a fabrication. Talk about glass and its effect on light. Yeah, glass will slow down light, and depending on the curvature of the glass, it'll cause a lensing effect, either concave or convex. It will either make you nearsighted or farsighted. And because of the fact that it will slow down light more in one place than it does in another place. So if the glass is thin, it's not going to slow down the light very much. If the glass is thicker in another place, it's going to slow down the light more. And the concave or convex shape of the lens is what's going to determine the magnification, or the opposite is going to happen. Okay, the speed of light doesn't matter. God did. Well, the evolutionists invoke supernatural explanations. Look at the Big Bang. If evo-fablism idiots invoke the imaginary Big Bang, I invoke God did it. Yeah, they don't have a cause for the energy plasma that was supposedly already there before the Big Bang. You know, a hot plasma requires a lot of energy. If you have if you have a plasma for all the matter in the universe, that's a lot of energy. Where did that come from? They have no answer. They have no idea. The end. And it's all a fabrication anyway. So you can't go by the rate of the passing of time to determine the age of the universe. That's just simple. Especially when there's no single rate of the passing of time or measure of distance in the universe. It's all relative to the dilation of time and distance, or the amount of gravity where you happen to be. That's why the Bible says that a day with God is like 1,000 years, 1,000 years is like a day, because time is relative. The Bible told us that. It's probably one of the things that got Einstein thinking too. So nothing new from this morning. Well, the only thing I wanted to clarify from this morning is that you can't use the rate of the passing of time to extrapolate the age of the universe, since it's dependent on how much matter there is where you happen to be from the formation of matter. And we can't possibly know when the formation of matter was. And if we all expanded from a central singularity, that means time was running at a very slow rate in the past. And that's one of the theories, is that the universe spit out the whole universe before it spit out the solar system that we exist in. So you can't win with that. The redshift is, according to what they're saying, the redshift is from the expansion of the universe. They're saying that's causing the redshift. But my question is well, what if the redshift is from the vacuum of space being dragged into black holes all around the universe, so that the farther you go, the more stretching of the universe there is as far as light passing through, so that it gives a greater redshift. That's my question. What if it's just the stretching of space, or the vacuum of space being pulled into black holes all around the universe, like tent pegs? Not that I know which one is which, or which one happened, whether it was an expansion, whether it was just the formation of matter. I'm wondering if it wasn't just the formation of matter that just happens to be causing a vacuum of space around the universe. Cosmic background radiation and redshift corroborate the speed of light not being instantaneous, you're still wrong. No, the speed of light is instantaneous in special relativity, but we don't exist in special relativity. We exist in the dilation of time and distance, so that we see light taking time to arrive. And, what if that's just the temperature of the universe? What if that's just, they're just measuring the temperature, which is not very much. I mean, not very, very much difference around the universe. It's very, very, very much the same temperature. It's just that they're making it so you can tell the slight variations in temperature around the universe. That's all that is. Nothing more. It's the infrared or microwave background radiation. Which has to go through the dilation of time and distance for us to see it. So it doesn't prove anything as far as the age of the universe is concerned. Because the whole thing is a fabrication. The whole thing is the result of the formation of matter. And you don't know when that actually happened. We see light taking time to arrive because it takes time to arrive. It's not instantaneous. We see time taking time to arrive because we exist in a fabrication of dilated time and distance because of the gravity around the universe, which is the result of when the gravity was formed, and we don't know when that was. But still, if you think about it, it still doesn't make any difference, because the beginning of time was counted when the earth, when there was light on earth for the first time, and one evening and one morning was counted. So it doesn't make any difference anyway, to begin with, if you want to go that far. It still took one evening and morning when God said, "Let there be light," because there was darkness over the surface of the earth. And God said, "Let there be light on earth." So if there's light on earth and there was darkness on earth, it means there was probably light elsewhere. So he said, "Let there be light on earth," and there was one evening and one morning, which is one day. So that's when time was first counted. Not to say what happened before that, it really doesn't matter. If the universe was instantly created, according to the Bible, it says it was instantly created. But it really doesn't make any difference either way. Still a matter of fact that one evening, that when God started counting time, it was one evening and one morning was the first day. And according to what we believe the universe was made on that first day, because God is the creator of the universe. And that's when he created the universe. But as far as you're concerned, it doesn't really matter. Still true. But then quarks become a conduit for instantaneous light. Okay, here we go. Take time, it's not instantaneous. Okay. Yeah, it's light arrives instantly because it exists at the speed of light. So it arrives instantly. We exist in the fabrication of dilated time and distance, where we see things taking time to occur. Of course, We wouldn't exist if things didn't take time to occur. This is what the fabrication of the universe is, where we can exist, is where things take time to occur. So it has to be a fabrication of time so that we can have things occur, chemical reactions, and things take time. Even though it happens really fast inside of us, we still need time for it to happen, the nanotechnology to happen inside of us. That makes zero sense. The universe is nearly 10 billion years older than the Earth. Well, it doesn't matter. You could say, they say the Pacific Ocean is older than the Atlantic Ocean when one opened up one year and the other one opened up the other year. It's no big deal. And what I'm questioning is your measure for the billions of years. I'm questioning whether your rate of time is the right rate of time to measure the age of the universe. That's what I'm questioning. And you don't know which is the right rate of time to measure the age of the universe. And even if it was, it doesn't matter. We still have a creator. We still have everything. And it still has to be from God, who is an infinite potential, because no physical thing can make itself. That's a bald-faced lie. They do not what? No, you have a rate of time that you're going by. You're going by a certain rate of time of the passing of time. You're extrapolating the age of the universe. But how do you know that rate of time is the right rate of time when in the universe there's all kinds of rates of time, of the passing of time? Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean are the same age. No, they're not. Pacific Ocean is older. The ocean floor is older than the Atlantic Ocean floor. There's not much difference, but there is a difference in the measurement. And I believe the Atlantic Ocean opened up 100 years after the global flood, because you have animals between South America and Africa that got separated, namely the jaguar and the leopard, the greater bison and the honey badger, the aardvark and the ant bear, and there's probably many more animals that got separated at the 100 years after the global flood, when the South America broke apart from Africa. And that was before people started spreading out, but the animals had a chance and time to reach South America, but the people didn't start moving until the continents had already broken apart, so they never made it to South America from Africa. So, and I have new evidence. Let me just go ahead and screen share this here. If I can find it, let me find it first. Let's see. Glacial ice on Antarctica, South Pole. Separation. Let me go to the images. Oh, come on. Map, not this stuff. Map. Go to the map. Here we go. I got it. I got it right here. Somewhere. Okay. Let me do a screen share. And I will show you. This is new evidence here of the breakup of the continents after the global flood. because it's ice that was deposited on top of the sediments deposited by the global flood. So within 100 years after the global flood, you had all the rain and everything, and it froze on the South Pole. So when it froze on the South Pole, you had glaciers forming on the South Pole on top of the sediments deposited by the global flood. Remember, keep in mind there's fossils in all this area. There's fossils in Antarctica, there's fossils in Africa, in South America, India, everywhere. And these fossils were animals that were buried by the global flood. So you have the sediments with the fossils in them deposited, and then you have the ice, glacial ice on top of that. So then what happened 100 years after the global flood, you have the breakup of the mid-Atlantic ridge that separated Africa from South America, from Antarctica. Antarctica was joined to South America too, for that matter. It's not showing it, but it was joined to South America and India. Notice the direction of the glacial ice markings in India going from south to north. The same thing in Brazil. It's east to west, but it's really same kind of thing. Same thing in Africa, same thing in Australia. So that when they finally did break apart and end up where they're going, India still has those glacial markings going from south to north, proving that it was down here near Antarctica, along with Africa and South America, before it broke apart. And this is after the global flood because it's on top of the sediments deposited by the global flood and all the fossils. So it had to have broken apart after the global flood. Otherwise, there wouldn't be these glacial markings on it today. So this here seals the case of what the Bible says, that in the days of Peleg, which is 100 years after the global flood, says the earth was divided. Doesn't say the people were divided. It says the earth was divided. And of course, that was a traumatic event. Probably that's why people separated into their family groups and began speaking their own languages. And then they started moving into different parts of the world, like Africa. And that's why they never made it to South America. And the animals did make it to South America. So that seals the case for what the Bible says of the breakup of the continents 100 years after the global flood. So that's pretty neat, ain't it? How about that? Oops. What did I do? Cover up the thing? Case I did. What is this? You have a belief system contradicts almost every form of science. You can say you know, but when you demonstrate that you don't, it's just what do you call it? Hey, Tony, there goes Tony. How you doing, Tony? What do we got? Let me just go ahead and let me go ahead and what's up, Tony?
Hey, man. Yeah.
Want to show this again here in case I covered it up. See that? That's the full picture there. All right. So yeah, what do you think?
Flood. Yeah, that was good, man.
The breakup of the continents, and well, I was talking about the time-light problem with that the time-light problem has a problem.
Right. Absolutely. Thanks for posting the James Tour video. That was good too.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, we didn't watch the whole thing, but it was still good.
Yeah.
I watched I watched the rest of it, and I watched other videos of his too.
Yeah, he's never been refuted because, of course, nobody's produced life. So.
Oh no, of course not. They can't.
Yeah. Right.
It's not science. Yeah. Yeah, the science of the evolutionists is not science because evolution isn't science.
Right. Absolutely.
continental drifts of that magnitude would have wiped out all. Yeah, but it didn't, though, did it? You can't say what would have happened. You have to only
Right.
see what did happen. I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, you have the evidence of the glacial markings going from south to north in India, proving that it was there near the South Pole after the global flood had deposited the sediment layers with the fossils in them, because the glaciers are on top of the sediment layers with the fossils in them. So that proves that it was after the global flood, that it was there in the south, and it broke apart 100 years after the global flood, and then was pushed up where it is, which is not that far away if you look at it again. Let me do a
Absolutely.
screen share.
Yeah.
It's really not that far, because Africa was down there too. See, India was right up here. Going from here to here is not that far away. It's the northern tip of the Horn of Africa right there, or the up here to here. That's not very far, considering that
Right.
everything else moved a long ways away too, and Africa itself moved farther than that. So it's really not that far, and people would have survived and did survive on the continents that floated apart, separated apart. It's no big deal.
Right.
Okay. Yep. So that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
That's yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I had
Um.
already been suspecting, because I've been thinking about this, 40 years already, about the breakup of the continents, whether or not it was 100 years in the days of Peleg, or when it was, because the Bible actually says the earth was divided in the days of Peleg, and then you have the lifespans of people cut in half a second time in the days of
Right.
Peleg, and then you have the animals that are separated on. They're the same animal in Africa and South America.
Right.
It's the exact same animals in so many cases. And of course, the the New World monkeys made it to South America, and the Old World monkeys didn't make it to South America. And if they did, they got wiped out.
Right. The skeptics will say we're not open-minded. Me, I was an atheist for 20 years, so I was in the other camp.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people were,
Yeah.
and but
I
I've
just
been
studied it.
sticking firm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been sticking firm with the biblical teaching, because I could see that it's valid and true. And
Yeah.
every time it's borne out to be true, and atheism and evolutionism is always proved to be false.
Yeah.
Every
Definitely.
every claim they've ever made has always been disproved, and it always will be
Yeah.
disproved, because that's all they have is claims,
Right.
especially when it comes to the biogenesis and everything, really, because
Everything.
you can't have anything without a cause, without the power to make it,
Yeah.
and power can't make itself.
Yeah. They don't want to understand the abiogenesis problems. That's
Yeah.
what convinced me. It's the chemistry so bad for the naturalistic, approach.
And when you consider evolution, even if you already have a life form, you can't get written instruction that's not there. You need a
Yeah.
biogenesis of written instruction, vast amounts of, billions of bits of data that aren't there, in order to have evolution, even if you already have a life form.
Right. I think the chemists are seeing this. They're going to see it in, decades to come. They're
Well,
struggling.
they will see it, but I just don't know why they just don't face
Yeah.
up to it right now. They
Right.
should they should have faced up to it 30 years ago, but
Yeah.
they just
And
want
some,
to.
well,
Yeah.
they gotta pretend that their evidence is coming one day.
Yeah, that's all they have. They have a promise of being able to find the evidence that's not there. And
Yeah.
of course, but if you think about it, it's just there's no way that they could ever get billions of bits of data from billions of mistakes.
Yeah.
It's just nonsense.
Right. Well, one day it's going to be proven. It hasn't been proven yet. That's always their answer.
Because I was texting with somebody today, and he was saying, oh, evolution can happen, and then he said billions of mistakes. I said, you don't even know what billions of mistakes would do to the genome. Much less, it wouldn't write billions of bits of data. It doesn't equate to billions of bits of data.
No, it would be damaged at that point.
Yeah, it would destroy the thing.
I mean, if I said I could fly to the moon, but I haven't shown it yet, would that be considered science? Of course not.
No, no. Yeah, with your wings.
Yeah, with my wings that would grow, or if I flap my arms fast enough. But I can't prove it today. But I haven't. That means I could prove it in the future. I haven't proven it yet.
Yeah. Same thing.
So they believe in some fantasy chemical environment that is going to produce this cell.
Yeah, it's going to write the programming that's not there.
And then when they manipulate conditions just right in the lab, they'll say, "Oh, well, look, it took no intelligence to do it."
And they didn't produce anything to begin with.
Right. That's what James Tour says. He's got a whole 1-hour presentation on abiogenesis problems. But I think Ronan left out. I mean, that guy he doesn't want to learn anything.
Nah, he's just a troublemaker. That's all he is.
Yeah.
Don't worry about him.
Yeah, that guy's a character. But I think Cronin admitted that the origin of life isn't falsifiable. They don't know the conditions. They've tried many conditions. So they're just guessing.
Yeah. And like you said, he hasn't found it yet. But he believes he will.
He believes he will, yeah. But the chemistry is at a total stalemate. The protein problem, the RNA problems. You can't overcome these chemical pathways without intelligent interference. And like you were saying, it's all directed chemistry. It's not unguided.
Yeah. And
yeah, I don't know. That's their answer. Just give it more time. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's good.
Are you debating anyone next? Anybody in the chat?
Actually,
it's just us.
Yeah, they chicken out all the time. I was supposed to debate somebody earlier, the guy that I was texting, some other guys, but they chicken out all the time. Every time they want to text me and say I'm wrong and say I'm dumb and stupid, but when it comes to having a discussion, they just disappear and chicken out. Disappear into the.
I left James Tour's email. I don't know if that guy Ronan got it, but if anybody can email him, he's got a public email. He's at Rice University. Why don't they go there and humiliate him and tell him he's totally wrong?
Oh, no, they wouldn't even try.
They wouldn't do that, huh?
No.
Okay.
Because they would make themselves look really bad. And
right.
Carnivorous Ape could do that too, right? This guy here. He says there's mountains of evidence, little more than claims. Every time religion and science are at odds, science has won. Yeah, and your religion of evolution has lost.
Well, abiogenesis has never won. They are nowhere close to producing life. Carnivorous Ape, no one is close. You can listen to some James Tour yeah.
And abiogenesis of written instruction that's not there has always lost too. So evolution has always lost.
Oh, definitely. And when they go into the lab and they try to engineer genetic information, it always requires conditions that don't relate to the early Earth.
Yep. So evolution is a bottleneck all the way. You can't get the written instruction that's not there.
Right. No information. They can't get one cell going in the first place.
Right.
If they could, they would show it. I mean, every lab in the world would be producing life from non-life. If their chemistry was solid, which it isn't, but let's just say it was, why can't they show it?
Yeah. And new living organisms would be coming out of the ocean all the time too.
Right.
Of course, they think it takes millions of years for one, but they all suddenly appeared all at the same time in the same place on Earth.
He's on to evolution now, but I would say abiogenesis is not a fact. He wants to come in the chat. Let him in.
Yeah, I posted the thing earlier. Hold on a second. If he's got a chance, he had a major catastrophe there where he's at. His house was flooded, so he says he doesn't have conditions to come in or something. His computer's broken, but
Well, I would challenge him to email James Tor and refute all his points on the problems with the origin of life.
yeah. But what I said just went right over his head. In order to have evolution, you need to have billions of bits of written instruction that's not there, programming that's not there, and there's no way that unrelated mistakes are going to write instruction that's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, so step one, they have a problem.
Right. So even if you had life, you can't get additional information from thin air.
Yeah, well, that's what they think. This one cell turned into everything with enough time.
Right. But it turned into everything all at the same time, same place, which is totally absurd. That means you have to have infinite possibilities for every single different living organism there is.
Right.
Which is totally absurd.
It's amazing how all that information can be traced back to one cell. I mean, that's what they think.
Yeah.
And before that, it was just chemicals. Bunch of amino acids in a chemical soup.
And we know there's a global flood anywhere that buried them all at the same time anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but they want to reject that.
Right.
Because they don't like real history and evidence, real facts.
Yeah, where the evidence, yeah.
They want to make up their own facts. And that's what they do all the time. That's what abiogenesis is. It's making up your own facts. Evolution too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all making up your own facts. And that's not science. In order to have evolution, you have to have a change in allele frequency in a population over time. That's all evolution is. And it observably happens. But the change in allele frequency is from existing information that's already there. It's altering what's already there. It's not writing instruction that's not there. So it never really changes the organism from being what it was made to be.
Yeah. Ask him, how do you get life in the first place? He won't have an answer.
He doesn't want to go there. And evolution is the same thing. You have to invent information, instruction that's not there.
Yeah.
You have to have a biogenesis of written instruction that's not there. Vast amounts of instruction from unrelated mistakes.
Yeah.
And they can't even get a single mistake to be complementary to itself, to the genome or anything else, much less other mistakes. It's just totally absurd. It's just a desperate attempt to make excuses for not believing in a creator.
Craig Venter, when he manipulated a cell, he took a genome out of one cell and he put it in another cell, and he wanted to say he created life.
Yeah.
He just rearranged pre-existing information.
Right.
That wasn't about.
But it has to be compatible. The zygote has to be compatible with the nuclear DNA.
Yeah.
And you can't just take it out of one cell and put it into any zygote. It has to be compatible.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that it requires written instruction that's not there is flat out wrong. Well, where did the information come from?
Right.
You have to get written instruction that's not there. because it's not there.
That's, yeah, information. That's a big problem.
If
These
you're
lang
if you're the first cell in existence, how are you going to get the instruction to be something other than whatever this first cell is?
Yeah.
Venter used the qualifier synthetic life.
But that was all manipulated, controlled conditions. He used bits and pieces from other genomes. It was all rearranging of pre-existing parts. That wasn't abiogenesis, not even close.
Right. They take DNA out of a spider and
Yep.
they make a goat spit out silk instead of milk, and that doesn't prove anything.
Yeah, they can rearrange parts from other cells, but they're starting with bits and pieces of information that was already there.
It doesn't prove anything. It's taking
I can,
information that's already there. It's
yeah,
not it's
you
not
could,
getting information from thin air.
right. You could take a engine out of a Ford and put it in a Chevy, modify a
All
few parts.
all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Venter did. I took my engine out of my Toyota and I put it in my Ford truck. I could modify a few parts and I could make it run. So, but does that prove that an automobile could just form on its own? No.
Yeah, and you're taking what's already working and putting it in.
Yeah, you modify some parts and that's about it, but it still took an intelligent agent to do it.
Yeah, well he didn't claim it was a biogenesis, but you and everybody are trying to extrapolate and say this proves that you can get life from non-life.
Yeah, it's very exaggerated experiments, very exaggerated. James Tour talks about it.
Yeah, because you made a couple of tars or something doesn't mean that you made a life form.
Nah, and tars are poison to life. And yeah, when chemists set up prebiotic conditions in the lab, they always get racemic molecules, which are useless.
Yeah,
And they have to use design trap mechanisms to filter out all the left-handed amino acids, and they're
so
useless.
so my question is, when are they going to drop this nonsense of evolution, this belief of evolution? When are they going to
They
drop it?
they can't because what's the other option? That there's an intelligent designer. They don't want that. They're not going to abandon
Right. So
abiogenesis.
they don't like the science, they don't like the facts.
The facts are going against them. The chemistry is going against abiogenesis.
Yeah, the facts speak contrary to their belief.
Right. They know that. They know the chemistry isn't working. How come scientists won't debate James Tour? How come they won't refute him? I mean,
Right.
they don't want to they avoid him because he knows the chemistry isn't working and they know that.
Right. And the one that didn't know better.
Right.
That's the same thing, is that the reason why the scientists won't come talk to us because they know better.
They know and they hype up the media like they're producing life and they're nowhere close.
And the only people here talking to us are people that don't know better.
They don't know. The delusional, ignorant internet atheist that thinks abiogen any day now it's going to be proven.
They're only here because they don't know better.
Right.
Otherwise, they would be far, far away, you know.
Right.
They would know that they're going to be made to look ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous. They can't get a protein to form naturally. You can't get proteins. You're never going to get DNA and RNA and everything else needed.
Right. And in order to have the protein, you have to have the written instruction to make a
Yep.
protein.
Specific arrangement of left-handed amino acids, and they have to be folded in such a way.
Right. And they can't get any of that.
None of that. I mean, all you got to do is study protein folding. It's a huge problem. Every chemist knows this.
So yeah, so I'm waiting for one of these bigwig scientists to come out and say, yeah,
Oh, they don't.
evolution is nonsense.
Well, yeah, they're not going to. They want to just make fun of all these people at the Discovery Institute and James Tour, but they're actually telling the truth about the chemistry and how they engineer RNA in the lab.
Yep. And yeah, these people like I mean, it's, you know, you can name off a whole bunch of people like the biologist Richard Dawkins, the biologist
Yeah.
Meyer, what's his name, PZ Meyer.
Yeah.
And then you can go on to the cosmologist Lawrence Krauss,
Lawrence Krauss. Yeah. They believe
Sean
anything they say. Yeah.
Sean Carroll. You could go on down the list, and
Yeah.
they're all against God.
Oh, absolutely. Stephen Meyer debated Lawrence Krauss, and he made him look like a fool. He talked about the RNA world, and they just ignore it.
Lawrence Krauss says all different kind of crazy things. Everything he says one thing on one hand, it contradicts another thing he says on the other hand. Everything he says is contradictory to himself, you know. And he thinks he's making sense. He thinks that people are seeing that he makes sense, some kind of sense.
Oh, he's totally arrogant. He just wants to mock people, you know.
Yeah, he's saying all different contradictory statements and acting like he's knowing what he's talking about.
Yeah. He tried to delete part of Alexander Vilenkin's letter in front of Lane Craig, but Lane Craig called him out on it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. He tried to, you know, pick part of it, what he said, and not use the other part.
Right. Because they don't want anything to make them look bad, to make them look like they're lacking evidence. Oh, he's saying Venter didn't claim that it was abiogenesis. Well, why can't he show abiogenesis then? Obviously, there's serious problems that they can't overcome through, you know, natural chemistry.
See, when your side claims that an experiment was supposed to do something that it wasn't designed to do, it's dishonest argument. Yeah, but you're not coming up with anything, proving anything.
Right. So where's their argument for life from non-life? If Venter was engineering pre-existing genomes, okay, if that's not abiogenesis, then why don't you show it? What, you know, prove abiogenesis then.
Right. Prove evolution.
Yeah, well, that too.
Prove unrelated mistakes can write vast amounts of instruction that's not there. Prove it.
They can't get information to begin with.
It's their belief they have to prove it. You know, extraordinary claims required extraordinary evidence, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And all these experiments, all these scientists, they cheat. They start with, you know, information.
Yeah.
Starting with DNA is not explaining how DNA got there in the first place. If you take DNA out of a cell and you put it in another membrane and you want to say you created something, you're lying. You started with DNA to begin with.
That's right. It was already functioning before.
It was right. That's what these chemists are doing. Same with RNA.
It's what you were saying about taking a working engine out of one car and putting it in another.
It
was working before he put it.
It was. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, all I had to do was manipulate a few brackets, you know, to get the engine to fit.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's what these chemists are doing. You know, they can manipulate a few molecules and few membranes to get the information in there, but okay, they started with information to begin with.
Look at this smoke screen here. Discovery Institute is dishonest as every other creationist organization. He's saying, look at here, look at there, look over there, look over there, don't look here, look over there.
Okay, well then prove life from non-life then. Refute James Tour.
When you have to take a statement from faith saying you will disregard all evidence, that doesn't confirm what you see.
Yeah.
Well,
okay, well then prove.
Yeah, they believe the Bible, but because the Bible is true, creation is evident. That's what the Bible says. Creation is evident. So we look at the evidence of creation and we can see that there's a creator.
Okay, so why doesn't this, what is this? Coronavirus ape. Okay, why don't you engineer life in the lab and prove abiogenesis then?
Yeah. Why don't you step up to the plate?
Right. I mean, all these atheists, they're all so smart. Why don't they go into the laboratory and produce a cell?
Yeah. If other people can't do it, why don't you prove it?
Yeah, Aaron Ra, all these internet atheists. I mean, they got a lot of money. Make a laboratory, design it, put in the exact ingredients you want in the test tube, and produce this primitive cell. Do it.
Yeah, they believe it. They got to prove it.
Yeah, prove abiogenesis. Come on, do it. Get all your chemicals, all your molecules. I'll give them DNA. Take the DNA, put it. Go ahead, bring it to life. Make a cell.
Yeah. Then you can prove that somebody. Then you can start pointing fingers.
Yeah, right. Then they have the proof. Then I'll agree with them.
But if you don't prove otherwise, you can't be pointing fingers.
No, then they're lacking evidence. The same thing they accuse us of.
Yeah. Of not doing science.
Right.
That's the problem with evolution. It's not science.
Always say, how are we dishonest? You guys don't have to prove abiogenesis? Why not? Like I said, take all your chemicals, all your amino acids, everything needed for a cell, put it in the perfect solution in a test tube, and produce this primitive cell. Do it. Why can't they do it?
Stop claiming,
Yeah. We're so dishonest, right? We're completely wrong. Okay, so you teach us, show us how life forms from chemicals. Do it.
Make it happen.
Right, make it happen. I want to see a cell self-assemble from a mixture of molecules. Do it.
Yeah. Give us a reason to be quiet.
Right. I'll be an atheist tomorrow if they could prove abiogenesis. Do it.
Show us some magical matter.
Right. Let's see these molecules that could just react and self-assemble into life.
Oh, silence.
Yeah, because they don't have anything. There's no chemistry that's leading to that, and they know that.
Yeah, well, I guess this is good for this StreamYard here. I don't want to use up all my time.
All right, brother.
I might have to, stretch it out a little bit.
You signing off? Let me know. I'll catch you on again.
Okay. All right.
All right,
yeah.
brother. Have a good day.
Right.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.